Hi everyone, I am Elena Yang, a junior at Babson College, and it's so weird to think that I'm already in my third year, like what the heck? Anyways, today I am here to give you guys a comprehensive review of my experience being at Babson College as a student. This video has no filter, there's no advertisement whatsoever, just my authentic experience, and also a lot of applicants have reached out to me through my social media pages or previous videos asking all sorts of questions about Babson, and that's when I realized that a lot of you guys want to learn more, so I'm just gonna be here to provide that perspective for you guys. And I have some notes over here once again to make sure that I don't forget any of my key points, because sometimes once the camera starts my brain just freezes, don't ask me why. If you're ready, let's get started. And as a disclaimer, until now I still genuinely believe that Babson College is my best personal fit, and I still just know that if I don't go to Babson I would drop out. I would not rather be at any other universities in the world, no Ivy Leagues, no Canadian universities, none of that. And there are a lot of particular reasons why Babson's just a great fit for me. My favorite part about Babson is that I have the ability and the choice to focus on what's important to me. And for me, that's entrepreneurship, that's working for myself instead of getting good grades and just applying to Wall Street or any sort of big companies and work for them. Because we have the 4 days of school system, as I mentioned before, we don't have any class on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I am also able to schedule all my courses in a way that makes sense for me so that I have a lot of time remaining that's left, be able to choose to focus on something. And I believe it's pretty unique for Babson because at a lot of other schools, you're pretty tied down to your curriculum and your courses. And outside of that, you don't really have that flexibility or time to work on what you want to work on. That has allowed me to grow in a direction that I want to go in, and so I like the self-agency that I have in this community. Academically speaking though, again, take my perspective with a grain of salt because not everyone thinks the same way as I do, but I think that because there are a lot of mandatory courses, or there are a lot of courses that you can choose from, but the general curriculum is still relatively rigid in a way that you have to fulfill XYZ courses before you graduate. Although you can choose when you want to do it, at what time, with what professor, these are still mandatory courses that you need to fulfill. And from my personal experience, if you don't get the absolute best professors or a professor whom you really resonate with for that subject, I think it's really hard to take that course and feel like you have the desire to learn even more about that subject or that particular field, because I personally don't think that the courses that I'm taking has deepened my understanding a lot, partially because I chose not to put a lot of effort into it, but also because I don't think I was able to find more curiosity, and I don't think my professors were super helpful with helping me generate that curiosity. I would say that every single semester what I'm aiming for is to find one good course or one good professor that I really like and just let the remaining be, because that's about how it's been every single semester, and if there is one course that I love, then that's good enough for me. Moving on to the living conditions. After living here for almost 3 years now, I like it more and more, only because I was able to go to other universities and colleges to see my friends and see what type of living conditions that they have. And I will say that as a college student, don't expect anything to be perfect and don't expect anything to feel like, oh, how your home is, because you are living on your own and you are living in a college setting. But compared to other schools, I think that Babson's living condition, it's honestly really good. And especially because this year it's my first year having a single room, which is something that I absolutely love, and I think it's been the biggest productivity hack and the biggest privilege that I have. We do have a lot of shared bathrooms and shared living spaces with other people if you don't have a suite, and a suite is where you live with 3 other people in the same living space and you guys will share your own individual like kitchen and your own individual living room. If you don't have one of those as a junior student or senior, then you do live in a general community with a lot of other people and hallways and all that stuff. But generally speaking, none of the residence halls are too ancient. None of the residence halls are too dirty or anything that's super sus. And there are a lot of renovations going on every single semester, especially during the summer. There are a lot of dorm rooms and a lot of places around the school getting renovated every year. So I would say that I'm really satisfied with where I'm living at after being here for a while. One thing I would say is that if I were to move into college as a freshman all over again, then I would set up my living space to be a lot more comfortable for myself, such as buying my own mattress because it helped with my sleep quality so much. It like tripled the amount of comfort that I have when I sleep. Having my own water filter, having a comfortable desk set up and making it the way that I like it to be, having my own shoe rack and all that. Once you set up your dorm in a way that feels so comfortable and cozy for you, then you would want to stay here more. It would make you feel more like home. For my first year, I barely stayed in my room. I went to the library a lot and I went all around the school. But sometimes I realized that when I want quiet time or when I just want time to do work alone, being in your room is honestly one of the best places to be in. Ever since my dorm room has gotten more comfortable for myself, I feel a lot more at peace. Moving on to my spending habits at Babson, I'm honestly spending a lot more than I thought I would be. I'm just gonna be honest, because we don't have a grocery store or anything that's walkable near us. I have to either Amazon everything, DoorDash, or I'll have to take transportation and go out somewhere and buy them. Our Uber program supports 2 short trips per month, but in the end it ends up not being enough, especially because once you're at college for longer, there's a lot of just day-to-day things that you need to end up start buying yourself. I have an Amazon Prime membership, I have a DoorDash monthly membership, and I would say that like every single time I go out, whenever I Uber once, it ends up being at least a $40 bill there and back if you're just moving around. Or if you're going out to the city, then the Uber ends up being $60 to $80 total. And that's why I avoid going out far, or I carpool with friends who do have cars. But whenever I spend, I also feel like I start to tend to overspend, because now whenever I go out, I feel the strong urge to like eat food at a restaurant because I don't get that at Babson. I feel a strong urge to shop for a bunch of things or skincare products that I don't necessarily need all the time, just because I feel that sense of lacking these things when I'm here, or just feeling the sense that all of these things are not super accessible. I would say that I got a little more loose with how I spend money after my first 2 semesters here, just because really limiting my spending started to feel a little uncomfortable. But I would advise myself to focus more on earning more money than trying to save the amount of money that you spend, because a few hundred extra dollars can really improve your living situation and your entire mood and mentality and headspace. And so I would just focus on earning more money. As a student, there are a lot of ways, and as an entrepreneur too, there are a lot of ways to earn money on your own or having a side job, and so that's what I would do more of if I were to be a freshman again. Let's talk about the social scene a little, because I'm sure that a lot of people who are looking to go to college are going to be very interested to see how it is to have a social life at Babson. And I don't have any complaints personally, but it's just that I didn't really find my group of people. For the first year or so, I just felt kind of lonely, or when I joined clubs and organizations, there are people who you start to like automatically be friends with, but it doesn't mean that you were able to foster a deep relationship with them. Until after the first year or so, that's when I started to become closer with some friends who I really thought that I resonated with, and now I have a very close circle of people whom I cherish and value a lot. I would say maybe 2 or 3 people. Again, not a lot, but I would hold on tight to the people who you really resonate with, because I believe that in any settings, there will be very few amount of people whom you feel like I want to be friends with this person, or I want to have a relationship with them for the rest of my life. I think it's so rare and so valuable to have that with someone, and so I don't think it would be any better if I were to go to any other schools. And in general, people are friendly here. People are very friendly, and I feel comfortable talking to anyone or starting a conversation with someone new whenever I meet them, just because we're in such a small community, and so everyone knows of each other, and you absolutely have mutuals with almost every single person you see on campus. I know that some other people would agree with the statement that I'm about to make, but it's really easy to meet people. It's just harder to form a deep relationship with them. But again, this doesn't just apply to Babson, so I can't isolate Babson as a singular community and comment on it to be like, oh, it's really easy to find your close circle of people, or it's really hard to find. That I'm really not sure, but I would just encourage myself and all of you guys to continue looking for people if you feel like you don't have friends in college yet, or if you feel like you want some more sophisticated and deep relationships with others. Thinking back, I also believe that a lot of coincidences or people you meet, experiences that you get, they're really hard to predict, and a lot of things just come by surprise. So if you always hold a positive attitude and outlook and hope of finding your people, being satisfied with your living situation, or finding courses that you like, if you always put your intention to these things, then they will come around sooner or later. It doesn't mean that it's gonna be perfect or the way that you thought it would be. Sometimes it doesn't turn out exactly the way that you would want it to turn out, and I think that gratitude is also a choice, because the more I examine the things that I'm not super satisfied with, the more that I realize that it's actually a privilege to even worry about those issues. And so I'm learning to be more grateful for what I have, and I am absolutely so grateful for a lot of things at Babson. The people that I met, and especially this single room this year, the opportunities here, the flexibility, and the list goes on and on. I guess this is my holistic review of Babson. If you have any more specific questions, as usual, comment it down below and I'll get back to you guys as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.